Hey there, welcome to Coaching with Tally. We are here today talking about taking 100% responsibility for your life, getting in the driver's seat, taking your power back, and really living from this place of 100% responsibility. We're in a series this week about this. Day one, 2 days ago, we talked about blaming others. Yesterday, we talked about making excuses and how that shuts us down from taking 100% responsibility and drastically affects our results. Today, we're talking about how we let other people impact us. Taking a look at the ways that we give our power away to other people and how we can take that back. How we can live in this place from a place of center, knowing who we are and living from a place of really fullness, not trying to manage all of the opinions of other people, because it's so exhausting doing that. And so we have, I have a story for you from a client. We're going to talk about a couple of quotes that support us into this. We're going to look at what are the ways that we know we're doing it. Like, what are some indicators that we can know, oh, I'm operating in this place of giving other people a lot of impact over my life. And how can we begin shifting it? I'm having a hard time talking today. So some indicators that you can know that you're giving your power away to other people is noticing, do you take things personally regularly? All of us do all of these things to some degree or another, but notice how often you're taking things really personally. You're making it mean something about you. How often do you jump to conclusions about other people? Where you just kind of assume the worst, or you jump to conclusions. How about how regularly do you feel judged by other people? And then do you notice yourself being easily offended? So those are a few indicators. There are more, but those are some key ones that a lot of us often tend to operate in. So taking things personally, jumping to incorrect conclusions, feeling judged, and then being offended. So I'll tell you a story. This week I had a client and we were sitting and talking, and she was sharing about how she was really hung up emotionally. She was having a really hard time around something that had happened in her family. So a couple of her family members did something, and it was like she was having a very hard time getting over it. And so we talked about it. And anytime, I know this is true for me, that I have an incident in my life that's a 2 or 3 kind of incident, but I find myself reacting at an 8 or a 9 or a 10. I call it a 10-2 reaction. That's how I learned about it. But anytime you see that discrepancy between what's actually going on and how you're feeling about it, you can know for certain that there is something that this incident is tapping in on from your past. It's feeling very familiar, and it's tapping into something that's really painful for you that hasn't been all the way healed yet. And it's actually a gift. Anytime this happens, it's actually a gift, because you're oh, what's touching in on? And it's just another opportunity to have a layer of that healed. So it's not a bad thing. When you find yourself in that place where you're really reacting, you feel really hurt, you feel really rejected, or you feel really shamed, or whatever it is, you just go, okay, this is an overreaction potentially. There is definitely something there that was done that was not cool, not considerate, not sensitive to. But when we find ourselves reacting like that, so I just said, so what are you making that situation mean? This happened, this you could just see it neutral, but this happened, and you're making it mean what about you? And she was like, I think I'm making it mean that I'm on the outside of that, what I need or want or care about doesn't matter. And I was like, cool. What's the first time you can remember feeling that experience? And she's within seconds, was back in a memory from when she was 6 years old, and all of her siblings were they were at the store, and all of her siblings were getting something, and she wasn't, and her mom really affirmed her for not asking for things. She's like, oh, you're so great. You never ask for things. And so she got affirmation. So I'm so you got affirmed and you got approval for not needing, or for pushing your needs down, or for not asking for what you needed. And she's like, yeah. I'm and how many years have you been repeating that cycle? Does that show up in your life? And she's like, oh my gosh, yes. I mean, that's one of the things we're really working on, is her really stepping into using her voice more, her taking seriously her own needs, and finding ways to have those things met. And the results are massive. I mean, She's like in the best health of her life. She feels great. She's taking really good care of herself. She's launching a business that she's super passionate about. She has a whole nonprofit arm of this that it's like so many beautiful things. So many beautiful things. She's scheduling time for rest and refuel and doing things with her family that really matter. Like, it's amazing what happens when we step into really owning our own results, really taking responsibility for having our needs met. It's powerful. Anyhow, so seeing this pattern was really a gift. And she said all week she's been reshaping some of these stories. It's awesome. But being able to see when you have that 10-2 reaction, like, what am I making this mean? And even saying it that way, like, what am I making this mean? Because I'm overlaying an interpretation on this otherwise fairly neutral situation to make it mean something about me that is hurtful, is rejecting, is whatever it is. So when you can see yourself in those situations, first of all, celebrate it because it's giving you great information. Second of all, ask yourself, what is it that I'm making this mean about me? And then third, ask yourself, when is the first time I remember feeling this feeling? And it'll likely take you back into a memory that you can then go, oh, interesting. And I don't have to live out of that anymore. Because what we do is we have these painful situations and then we make it mean something, and then we subconsciously spend a lifetime reinforcing this meaning. Like, oh, yep, there it is again. See, that means I don't have a voice. Oh, see, it's reinforced again. I'm not allowed to need what I need. Or, oh, I get something that I need and want when I push down, whatever the things are for us, you know. They're different for all of us. But, oh, there it is again. Like, people don't want to listen to what I have to say. Oh, there it is. You know, we just reinforce these belief systems that we have created. We actually created this thing to start with, which is actually good news because it means you can dismantle the thing. If you built it, you can unbuild it. You can make it mean something else, which is awesome. So looking at the meaning, we are meaning-making machines, looking at the meaning we're overlaying onto things and beginning to shift that story. Super powerful. So what are we taking personally? What are the incorrect conclusions we're jumping to? How are we feeling judged and easily offended? So looking at one of the really key things is noticing your judgment of other people is, and this goes both ways, but noticing your judgment of other people has so much more to do with you. And then the same is true when you're feeling judged by other people or criticized. It is all about them. It's all about them. There might be like some shred of truth in some of it, but their reaction to, if it's not being brought in this loving way of, hey, I see something getting in your way, let me help get it out of your way with you. If it's not being brought in that way, if it's coming as criticism or shame or blame or judgment, it has so much to do with that person. So anytime we're judging, it's based on the things that we don't like about ourselves. And so you can look at it both directions. Like if somebody's judging you, you can know like, actually has very little to do with me, and you can let it go. I have a mentor who used to say, what people think about me is none of my business. And I was like, oh, I like that. What other people think about me it's none of my business, and it actually has very little to do with me. And what people think about you is between them and God. Has very little to do with you. So anytime that comes, you can just let it go. If there's something there for you to grow from or learn from, awesome. Take the feedback, begin shifting things. If not, you can just like let it go. And then notice the judgment that's coming up for you about other people, and know that there are some really beautiful golden nuggets in that for you to look at how you're judging yourself. So another quote I wanted to give you, a man named Ken Blue, who I really love a lot of his stuff. One of the things he said is that really has stuck with me. I have a very low opinion of your opinion of me. I think that's really brilliant. So learning to just not care so much about what other people say and think, how they react to you, letting go of things that really aren't serving you, noticing how much energy you give to maintaining the opinions of other people, and beginning to shift those things that aren't serving you. So my invitation to you today is to just notice the things that are coming up for you. Notice the 10-2 reactions that you come across this week, and then ask yourself that question. Like, what am I making this mean about me, first of all? And then where did that show up in my life, and how can I begin shifting that story? So blessings. We'll be back tomorrow with more on learning to love yourself. See you tomorrow. Have a blessed day. You are loved.